We've beaten many Pokemon games as Nintendo intended or as Nintended, where we use a strategy guide and follow it as closely as possible to beat the game according to how the guide wants us to. Those type of videos are a ton of fun to make, however one issue with them is it requires us to play the game in a different way than we might have wanted to, and since I know most of the main series Pokemon games pretty well by now since I've played through all of them multiple times, I know of some other ways to play these games that could be pretty good as well. Today, we'll be beating Pokemon Fire Red how I intended it, doing things I would do if we weren't tied down to following some sort of guide. Some of the things we do will be the most optimal way, while some things we do will also just be things that I like to do while playing through Fire Red. So let's load up a new save file of Pokemon Fire Red and hammer away at it to beat it as I intended. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to support the channel, and let's get right into it. As the game loads up, I picked the girl character, mainly because I always use red when I play Fire Red and Leaf Green lately, and now I can use Leaf in the thumbnail instead of red for one since I've been using him a lot. I named myself Seela, named my rival PaPaSea of course, and then finally enter the world of Pokemon. I head right into the tall grass to meet Professor Oak so we can go pick our starter Pokemon back at his lab. I end up picking Bulbasaur of course, since this is Pokemon how I intended it, and Bulbasaur is my favorite of the 3 original Kanto starters. I don't make the rules, well technically I do, and I named Bulbasaur Soar after the Bulbasaur from the original manga. Now we have the first rival battle against PaPaSea and his Charmander, which we unfortunately lost. This isn't a big deal, although admittedly it's not exactly intended, but since there really isn't much you can do to control this fight, it's a loss we'll have to live with, and we'll have to seek vengeance on PaPaSea and defeat him in the optional rival battle we have later on near Viridian City. I decide to grind up Soar a bit more to make him a bit stronger, and since PaPaSea has a Pidgey and a Charmander on his team in the next rival fight, I know that we'll need another Pokemon that helps us out against those two. That's where Hawk the Mankey comes in. I caught one just because I like Mankey and I think it's a pretty good Pokemon to use early on in Fire Red and Leaf Green, especially if you start with Charmander since Charmander won't be too great against the first couple of gyms. It's also a pig and a monkey hybrid, which just sounds awesome. As for the nickname Hawk, it's actually named after Hawk from 7 Deadly Sins, not Hawk from Cobra Kai. This is the same nickname I gave to my Mankey in the original Nintendo Intended video, and a lot of people thought it was a reference to Cobra Kai, but I've actually never seen that series. So after grinding up the new squad a little bit, I head into the optional rival fight to get revenge, and Hawk is able to dispatch his Pidgey while I use Soar to Leech Seed and stall his Charmander out, and tackle it a bunch of times for the victory, getting our revenge at last. Now we have to head through the Viridian Forest, and the only thing of note that happens here is that I caught a Kakuna and named it B-Man. Not sure if I'll use it, but I think it's a cool Pokemon to have, and I kinda like Beedrill as well. I remember using a Kakuna as a kid when I first played through Pokemon Red, and I never ended up evolving it because it only had the move Harden, so I thought it was a terrible Pokemon that just didn't do anything. As we make it out of the forest and into Pewter City, there isn't much to do here besides challenge the gym leader Brock, and since I have a Bulbasaur and both of Brock's Pokemon are 4 times weak to it, this gym battle itself actually took less time to complete than this sentence took to write in the script. To progress farther, we have to head east and into Mount Moon. There's a Pokemon Center right outside of it with a man who sells a Magikarp for 500 Pokédollars, so you know what that means, time to add a Magikarp to the party. Technically speaking, this isn't optimal at all when playing through this game since it's pretty easy to get an Old Rod, which you get in Vermilion City actually, and it would just be cheaper to get the Old Rod and catch a Magikarp in the water with a Pokeball that would most likely be a higher level than the Magikarp we just got. But we're playing the game how I intended it to be, and I say we get the Magikarp and name it Queen. Now we can go through Mount Moon, and on the way I caught a Clefairy and named it Covenant after the alien race from Halo since Clefairy is apparently an alien. I got the Moonstone along the way too, so we can evolve it whenever we want to, and I picked the Helix fossil since for some reason people always ask which fossil I pick, so here it is. In Cerulean City there's a couple of things we can do, but first I decide to head up north and fight our rival. In all of the other guidebooks we've looked at that take place in Kanto, they all recommend battling Misty first in her gym before heading up north to fight all of the trainers, your rival, and help out Bill, but I always like to go up north first to level up the team a little bit. I actually ended up losing the rival fight here first though because his Pidgeotto was too strong. I've noticed that his Pidgeotto always gives me problems lately for some reason, so I caught an Ekans nearby just to send it out and use Intimidate on it to make it a bit weaker. After defeating him and all of the other trainers, we can finally go help Bill, and I always wondered what happened to the Pokemon that he fused with. From my understanding, he essentially swapped bodies with a Pokemon, but what happened to the Pokemon after we save him and get him back in his original body? Anyway, he gives us the SS ticket for helping him, and now we can finally take on Misty with Soar, who recently evolved into Ivysaur. This battle was almost as easy as the first gym battle, showing how great Bulbasaur is as a starter option in Fire Red and Leaf Green. On the way to Vermilion City, I deposit Ekans the daycare since I don't really plan on using it at all, and after making it into Vermilion City, I head into the conveniently placed Diglett Cave to catch the ground-type Pokemon Diglett, which, coincidentally, is super effective against the Pokemon in the nearby Electric-type gym. Funny how that works, isn't it? I think this is a very good strategy to beat Surge, and some guides don't even mention the Diglett Cave until after you beat Surge. Before challenging Lieutenant Surge though, I do train up on the route to the east first, and I caught a Spearow here since we can trade it with this NPC in Vermilion for a Farfetch'd. Farfetch'd isn't a very common Pokemon, and for some reason it's nicknamed Chading. And after I received it, I realized we have to go into the SS Sand to dispatch our rival and get the HM for cut, so now we can finally head into the gym and get our third gym badge. The Diglett we just caught, which I named Doug by the way, really shines here since everything is hit hard by a strong dig move, giving us the third gym badge. So far, we've had at least one Pokemon completely steamroll us through every single gym, and I think I'm going to try to continue that for as much as possible. After this, I backtrack to get the HM for Flash. We can go through the Rock Tunnel, one of my least favorite caves in all of Pokemon. I just power through it anyway, leveling up most of my Pokemon along the way, go through Lavender Town, and finally into Celadon City. One of the best parts about Celadon City is that we get a free level 25 Eevee from the apartment complex, which I pick up. Now you could use this Eevee on your team if you really wanted to, since Jolteon, Vaporeon, and Flareon are all pretty good, Flareon especially if you want to use a fire type against Erica's gym, and Vaporeon's great if you need a water type for Surf, but I like my team a lot so far that I decided to just box the Eevee for now and maybe we'll use it later on. I'm not saying that the way that I intend to beat this game is to not use Eevee, but more so to only use it if one of the evolutions will benefit your team and if you have room on your squad. We can gamble in Celadon as well and potentially get a cool prize Pokemon, but I never like doing this much since I always lose when I gamble in Pokemon games. If we really want to, we could spend so much money on coins and just outright buy the Pokemon pretty much, but that's kind of wasteful even. The only other mandatory task for us to do here is to battle Erica, the Grass-type gym leader. Chading is a pretty high level by now, has the stick item to boost its attack, and is also an adamant nature. I'm not sure if it's always adamant when you get in a trade or if we just got really lucky, but either way, that allowed us to steamroll Erica's Grass-type Pokemon pretty hard, giving us the fourth gym badge. Farfetch'd is another Pokemon I remember using as a kid when I first played through Red version, and I don't recall ever really using it much since, so it's nice to finally have this quirky Pokemon on my team for one more time. After the gym, I get the tea from this old lady so we can pass through the guard post into Saffron City. This city is being occupied by Team Rocket, so we can't challenge the gym leader just yet, but we can challenge the fighting dojo. I do this even though I am a little underleveled and technically shouldn't be doing this until a little later on in the game, but I really wanted to add a Hitmonchan to my team. I unfortunately lose the Karate Master though and realize it's best to come back for Hitmonchan later, as Chading just isn't strong enough right now. I decide to take on the Rocket Game Corner area next in Celadon City and level up Covenant in the process after teaching it Psychic and Shockwave to help against a lot of the Pokemon we'd be facing around this point in the game. While going through the Game Corner, Soar evolves into Venusaur, and somewhere in there Doug evolved into Dugtrio, although I don't remember this happening at all, and I didn't even realize this until I noticed I had a Dugtrio in my party. After clearing out most of the grunts in the hideout, I realized that I leveled up a bit so I can go back into the dojo and take it on to claim Hitmonchan once and for all, which I named Jackie and added to the team. Hitmonchan is one of my favorite Pokemon, although I rarely ever use it really, and I replaced Hawk on the team with it so we don't have two overlapping fighting types. I got the TM for Brick Break from the Celadon City department store to teach it as well, so it has another good fighting move at its disposal. I name it Jackie after Jackie Chan of course, which is the inspiration for Hitmonchan even being called Hitmonchan in the first place. I remember thinking that was such a cool little fact when I first learned about that as a kid, especially since I used to love the Jackie Chan Adventures cartoon that would air in the early 2000s. I then head back to the game corner to clear out the rest of the trainers and use Jackie to defeat Giovanni's Kangaskhan. It's unfortunate that fighting type Pokemon in general really aren't too great in this middle section part of Fire Red, but we can try to make it work with Hitmonchan. Now we can go back to Lavender Town and clear out the Pokemon Tower so we can save Mr. Fuji, but first we have to fight Poopy, which Covenant does a great job against with Shockwave and Psychic. I realized that Poopy has a Gyarados at this point of the game too, and I still have that level 5 Magikarp on the team that we bought earlier on named Queen. So I plan on evolving it soon so we can have a Gyarados of our own to teach Surf to, and also have honor battles against our rival's Gyarados next time we face him. The rest of the tower goes by smoothly thanks to Covenant, and after that I backtrack to Cerulean City to pick up the bike and head down to Fuchsia City. The first thing we have to do here is rush the Safari Zone to find the Warden's teeth and get the HM for Surf as quickly as possible, then return the teeth to the Warden so we can get the HM for Strength. After this we can now take on Koga and his Poison type gym, although there's quite a few Psychic types in this gym that can make it a little bit difficult. I figure that Doug and mostly Covenant with Psychic should be able to handle this gym pretty smoothly, and thanks to some potions I'm able to defeat Koga pretty easily. So far in our 5 gym battles, we've had 5 different Pokemon shine and pretty much sweep through the entire battle, which I think is pretty nice. Next we have to go take on Team Rocket at the Silph Co in Saffron City, and I decided to switch train Queen so it can finally evolve into Gyarados and be somewhat usable. Our rival that we face towards the end of this area has a Gyarados too, so it'll be the first honor battle we'll have to try, where we have our Gyarados battle his Gyarados. By the time I reach him and he sends out his Gyarados, I notice it's level 35 while mine's only level 21. That means it'll be nearly impossible to take out unless I say poison it with Venusaur and then go back into it, but at that point it's not even really an honor battle. And once I see that it has Dragon Rage, I see that we have no shot of winning this honor battle. We end up losing, so I go and level up Queen to about 34 to try again. Now that we have access to Dragon Rage too. Dragon Rage will always do 40 HP of damage, which is what makes it so great, especially in the early game of Pokemon. And since I'm outspeeding Poopy's Gyarados, I figure we'll get the win. Somehow it gets to a point where we're both very low on HP, but since I've been outspeeding this whole time, I don't heal, go for a Dragon Rage, and somehow get outsped by his Gyarados after it goes for 2 attacks in a row, meaning that we must have had a speed tie this entire time and I just got lucky earlier on, and just didn't get lucky in the very final turn where it mattered the most. I'm forced to just use my other Pokemon to hammer away at him and get the victory. It's a shame that Queen couldn't do much after being on our team for so long and doing basically nothing, but it does redeem itself against Giovanni on the upper floor, who is pretty easy in this fight. After defeating Giovanni and saving the director from the Silph Co, he brags about how he's so rich and can give us anything, so he gives us a rare prototype Master Ball, which is a Pokeball that can be used to catch any Pokemon we want without fail. This would be great to catch Pokemon like Zapdos or Mewtwo, which can be difficult to catch. But after he handed it to us, I just looked the director straight in the eye, go into my bag, and toss the Master Ball right in front of him, then run out to challenge the next gym leader, Sabrina. Queen has Bite now, so this gym goes by relatively smoothly, although she isn't quite strong enough to be the sole Pokemon to carry us through this entire gym battle, unlike in the previous 5 gym battles where one Pokemon carried most, if not all, of the battle. After getting this gym badge, the rest of the game can snowball pretty easily since there's really not much limiting us from each of the gyms, so I just zoom on over to Cinnabar, find the secret key in the mansion to open the gym, and challenge Blaine. I made sure to fight all of the junior trainers before him with Queen to level her up as much as I can, and then eventually when we get to Blaine, she's able to carry the victory all by herself since she has Surf and all of Blaine's Pokemon are fire types. As we exit the gym, we meet Bill, who asks us to help him with something on the Sevi Islands, but I just say no since I don't want to go on this really long side quest that we don't get much out of it. A lot of people don't realize this is optional. You can just say no right here and he'll go in the Pokemon Center in this town and just wait for you so you can go back there later if you wish. With all of that out of the way, we can return to Viridian City and battle Giovanni one last time, but as a gym leader this time instead of being the leader of Team Rocket. Much like most of the Giovanni fights we've had so far, this one was pretty easy, and Gyarados carries us through most of the fight, while Jackie chips in a little bit here and there, allowing us to dispatch him for one final time and give us the 8th and final gym badge of the Kanto region. At this point I realized that our team is a little bit under level to take on the next rival fight and then the Elite Four right after it, so I grind up a bit before taking on Poopy again. He leads with his Pidgeotto as usual, so I use Covenant to knock it out again. And then the next couple of Pokemon get knocked out pretty swiftly. He eventually sends out Gyarados, so we have yet another honor battle, and this time I have the level advantage. Dragon Rage looks like it's about a 4-shot kill, which is fine, and Poopy's Gyarados only goes for Rain Dance and Hydro Pump, which is a rather poopy thing to do and does pretty low damage. I eventually knock out his Gyarados and win the honor battle, and all that's left now is his Charizard. Since it's weak to water and he foolishly set up Rain Dance for us, it gets knocked out pretty easily with a Surf, and now we have to go through the victory road and challenge the Elite Four. We could technically catch some legendary birds at this point if we wanted to, but I already have the best bird in the game on our team in Chiding, and I really want to use the team we have so far since I actually quite like it. We have our starter, Sora the Venusaur, Chiding the Farfetch'd, Jackie the Hitmonchan, Covenant the Clefable, Doug the Dugtrio, and finally, Queen the Gyarados. I go through the victory road in 2 shakes of a Slowpoke's tail since I'm so excited to challenge the Elite Four, and the first member we have to fight is Lorelei and her Ice-type Pokemon. Jackie shines here with Brick Break while Covenant helps a bit here and there with Shockwaves, giving us a pretty easy, albeit kind of tedious, victory since I did get frozen a couple of times in this fight. Next up we have Bruno, who has a few Pokemon weak to Gyarados, making it a solid lead. I use Chiding here a bit as well since although it is slow and pretty frail, it can do some serious damage to his fighting type Pokemon with Fly. We also have a mini honor battle, so to say, with my Hitmonchan against his Hitmonchan, although his Hitmonchan was already a bit weakened when I sent mine out, so it doesn't really count. After laying down the law to Bruno, we have to take on Agatha, which was by far the most annoying battle we've had in this entire run. She leads with a Gengar and just spams double team, causing Queen to miss every attack I go for until it gets knocked out after about 8 or 9 turns of missing literally every attack. I'm forced to shuffle in some of our other Pokemon at this point, waste a lot of PP and healing items too, just to finally knock out her lead Gengar. She eventually sends out a Haunter, which keeps going for Hypnosis, and of course doesn't miss for 4 turns in a row, causing me to waste even more of our healing items. After getting through that Gengar, Covenant basically sweeps the rest of her team, and now we have to take on Lance, the 4th member of the Elite Four. I know that he leads with a Gyarados, so I lead with Queen for another honor battle. We don't have the level advantage this time unfortunately, and we trade blows of Dragon Rage for a while until we both heal up. I knock his Gyarados down to only about 1 HP while being pretty low myself, and then he decides to randomly go for Hyper Beam after not going for it previously. I thought it was over for Queen and it would embarrass itself by losing yet another honor battle, but it somehow lives and we win another honor battle. Queen is able to hold its own against some of his dragons and knock them out too, until Doug comes in to clear out the rest of his pathetic team with Earthquake. After the battle, I decide to heal up and realize we're very low on healing items and also low on PP on a lot of our important moves, like Shockwave on Covenant and Bite on Gyarados. I head into the champion fight against our rival Poopy anyway since we don't really have any other option, and leave with Covenant against his Pidgeotto and knock it out for one last time. Next comes Alakazam, which tanks a bite from Gyarados so well somehow, so I go into Doug to clean up the Alakazam, as Doug has been a pretty good Pokemon at dishing out those final blows to our foes. Poopy's Executor was a pain since I had no PP on Bite from Queen, and all of my other good Pokemon against it were knocked out, so I had to rely on poisoning it with Venusaur and stalling it out a bit. Next comes Rhydon, which gets taken out pretty easily, and finally another honor battle against our rivals Gyarados. I have no PP on Bite or Dragon Rage, which are our 2 best moves in this matchup, so I am forced to go for Twisters and unfortunately get knocked out since we were so low on resources. I send in Covenant to finish off the Gyarados, then revive and heal Queen so she can redeem herself later in the fight. Eventually his Gyarados goes down and all that's left is his Charizard, and I realize I don't really have much to do to this thing since Covenant is fainted and has no Shockwave PP, and so is Gyarados with Surf. I check my bag and luckily have an Elixir, so I use it on Queen to get some more Surf PP, heal her up, and then send her out against his Charizard. It's 9 levels higher than us, so it looks like it's going to be a 3-shot KO with Surf, and of course the Charizard lands 3 Fire Blasts in a row, and on the 3rd Fire Blast it looks like it's gonna knock us out and we're done for, and we would have to reset the run, which I prepared to do, but psych, Gyarados lives with only 4 HP, lands the Surf, and takes out the Charizard, cementing itself as the savior of this run. I'm sure you guys thought that picking up that weak Magikarp for only $500 was a waste and a throwaway gag in the video, and that my Gyarados was weak for losing a few honor battles early on, But in the end, it made it to the Hall of Fame and was critical in our final battle for becoming the champion of the Kanto region. And this was beating Pokemon Fire Red how I intended it, basically just by using Pokemon you like and doing silly little things throughout, and completely over-exaggerating storylines about fictional Pokemon to make somewhat of a cohesive or interesting story. In the end, if you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like, as one like goes a long way, and also consider subscribing for more Pokemon videos. I want to thank you all so much for watching, have a great rest of your day, I'll see you all next time, and bye bye.